Well, good morning and welcome to EcoProd's webinar this morning, introducing the Aqualytics water intelligence system. Harvey, please, could you change the slide?
Ooh, yes.
We're off to a great start. So, a few kind of housekeeping points just before we really get started with the meat of the presentation. We are recording the session today so that we can send a link through to everybody afterwards. You can watch it back. You can also share that with colleagues or other people you think might be interested. We'll also give access to a copy of the slides via that link as well that you can download in the same way. If this is particularly interesting for your organisation, we could organise a rerun, a private session for you, for your organisation, if you would like. And you will notice all the lines are muted this morning just to prevent a lot of background noise and so on. But during the session, you are very welcome to ask questions or use the chat function of the GoToWebinar control panel. If you direct questions to me, I'll collect those through the presentation and come back to those with a little session for questions at the end. So please do ask questions and as we go through. So a couple of introductions. My name is Rachel Clinton. I'm Business Development Director here at EcoProd. I need another slide, Harvey, thank you. And our main presenter and our expert for the day is Harvey, talking about the technology around the Aqualytics system. So a little bit of our agenda for today is a few little introductions, a little bit about EcoProd, and then I'm going to hand over. And Harvey's going to cover more details on the Aqualytics Flowless product, going into kind of risk mitigation, data analysis, bill reduction and automated monitoring, how the water fingerprinting works, and how to automate these kind of leak detection type processes. And we'll finish off at the end just with a few questions if those have been submitted along the way. So at EcoProd, we are a small family business specialising in water saving type technology. Our background is really in waterless urinals, but we also sell a range of water reduced taps, energy saving hand dryers, water saving showers. And the relationship with Aqualytics is relatively new to our portfolio, and this is one of the first presentations that we've done building that into the overall water saving offering that we have. Although I said we're a small family company, we do have a pretty large customer base in the UK, between 3,000 and 3,500 sites using various different pieces of our technology. The waterless urinals and the water saving taps being the core of that kind of offering. So I need you to move a couple of slides, please. So at this point, Harvey, I'm going to hand over to you to pick up the agenda from here. Harvey, I think you might be on mute still. Yeah, there you go. We've got you.
Hi. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Rachel. It's very kind of you for the introduction. It's great to be working with EcoProd, and we'll explain why there's that synergy later and why the products that EcoProd present work so well with Aqualytics. So what is Aqualytics about? What do we do? How does it all go? Well, actually, the story on Aqualytics is in that it all started with an entrepreneur who worked hard all his life in a different industry, and he promised his wife two things when he retired. He promised his wife that he would take her away on a long holiday and he would build a dream house for them both. So he did exactly that. They built the dream house and they went on their holiday. Unfortunately, during the holiday, the builders put a pin in a pipe. This was over a bank holiday and they came back to an absolute disaster. The whole house was practically destroyed because there were literally 4 days of high pressure leak. So he decided that he wanted to do something about this. He decided that he never ever wanted to be in this situation again. And what he wanted to do was to create, if you like, a joining of a Fitbit for water and a fuse box for water. So what he wanted to do, in other words, was to be able to monitor his water all the time, to know what he was using, where he was using, how he was using, which none of us have been able to do, the Fitbit element, if you like, and at the same time have the fuse box element. So if something went wrong, literally the water could be stopped automatically. So that's actually what he did. And if you look at your screen, you can see that the Flowless, that's the 3/4, the smallest version of the Flowless. And that's what it looks like, and what it does is basically monitor and learn how you use your water in your home or in your facility. And what that does is it means that it monitors your water 24/7. It combines artificial intelligence with real-time advanced data analytics. It uses machine learning constantly to understand how your building uses water and detects changes or problems. It uses the Internet of Things to connect with your mobile devices and your computer networks to enable you to control water at all time. It sends alerts to you or your facility manager, or it can shut off the water in case of emergency. It's connected to the cellular network and is not dependent on Wi-Fi. And that's quite important, because obviously if your power goes down and your Wi-Fi goes down, you don't want to lose control. And it can detect and stop water wastage, which is really important. Now that leads to 3 things. It leads to risk mitigation, the disaster scenario, data analysis, which is really important, so you understand how you use your water. We went to see a client, a huge client, and they said, we use X amount of water, but we have no idea how we use it, where we use it, etc. We can now do that for you. And bill reduction. Why? Because in your home or in your office, 20% of your water bill is actually on wastage. So those are the points that this does. It looks exactly like a water meter. Any plumber who looks at this at the moment will say to you, this is a water meter. And we did that on purpose because we wanted to make sure that any plumber could actually fit this. So what does Flowless actually do? It does everything we've said it does, and it makes sure that you are in control all the time. It's monitoring for leaks 24/7. It's going to isolate a problem for you, and most importantly, it can turn the water off if there is a huge problem. Connection is via AC, but it has a backup battery, which is really important, which will actually last for 30 days. Now, why is our system different from other systems? What makes us so unique? Apart from measuring flow, each bit of water producing kit in your home or your office produces water in an individual way. It has a water fingerprint. So if you look at this, this is medium irrigation. This is the algorithm for medium irrigation. This is what medium irrigation looks like. This is what a toilet flush looks like. So we can see what type of water drawing there is. So oftentimes we're actually able to tell you there's a leak, it's a hidden leak, and actually it's a toilet and it's going at 4 litres an hour. Or it's a hidden leak and it's going literally at 900 litres an hour. And we'll talk about one of those later on. So what we get is 24/7 protection. We have a web-based dashboard which allows you to look and monitor and control your water consumption. It goes straight to your mobile. You can turn your water on and off, monitor your water on and off. If you're in Timbuktu and your offices or home is in London, you can see precisely what's going on and control all the time. And typically, our customers see 20% water savings. It's RAS installed. It's very easy to install. Plumbers basically will look at this and be able to install it for you. And it comes in all types of pipework and sizes. So basically from the 3/4 inch right up until 4 inch, etc. We're able to install for that. This is quite an important slide. You can see here the dashboard. That's the dashboard. If you actually look at the graph, you can see that the graph basically there monitors water on a monthly. You can look at your monthly, your weekly, your daily, your hourly, etc. And you're able to look. It's almost like a water report all the time, 24/7 at your fingerprints. You can also see the mobile, and basically that is an example of the warning that you will get. So let's look at a couple of examples, if you like, that have happened, which we can share with you. Okay, so this we installed in a large large office center, and it had a commercial kitchen. And what happened is there was actually a major water leak in the kitchen area, and the leak occurred out of hours. So if that would have been just left overnight, basically the kitchen would have been wiped out and they wouldn't have been able to provide food for everybody. In that particular case, the facility manager had it set to manual. He wanted to get an alert which enabled him to turn the water off. So it didn't turn the water off automatically, but he got the alert and he was able to push on his phone, turn off water. He pushed number 2 and the water was turned off. That's how he wanted it set up. It worked perfectly for them. Site damage was prevented, closure prevented, and it saved, literally the water was going at 486.4 litres per hour. Now 70 litres is a bath. So you can imagine what would have happened if that would have been absolutely awful. Same sort of situation happened at a FTSE 100 service company. What happened is this time it was set to automatic, and there was an alert at, I believe, about 2:30 in the morning. What had happened is a pipe had burst. It was going at full mains pressure. Within 4 minutes, the water was turned off automatically, and without our product, 16,350 litres of water would have escaped, which would have been a disaster for the laboratory. Actually, it was one shouldn't laugh, but actually the facility manager in charge of that particular one had his text message. We actually phoned him as well to discuss the problem, and he went back. In order to find the leak, he decided to turn the water on, which was a bit of a disaster. Let's say he found it pretty quickly. Okay, so this, if you like, a case study. This is a case study of a pizza chain. What happened, there was a break-in and the coffee machine was stolen and removed by force. In doing that, the water pipe was disconnected, and basically it was a disaster because full pressure meant that the business had to close. They lost about 38 grand from business interruption, 14 grand with regard to cost of replacement and repairs, and there was an increase in insurance premiums and excess. If they would have had a Flowless, there wouldn't have been a problem. The water would have been turned off straight away. This is also quite interesting. We had another pizza restaurant, a lovely restaurant at the West End, and we installed Flowless for them. And a couple of months in August, we noticed there was an alert: 900 litres of water was going every hour. The pizza restaurant shut at 11 o'clock at night and didn't open until 10 next morning. And we could see constantly via the graph, basically, that there was 900 litres of water going per hour. So there was obviously something really bad going on. So the facility manager called us up. The manager called us up and said, "Look, I've been into the shop. There's absolutely nothing wrong. There's nothing on the floor. It's a lot of water. We know the hotel next door is doing some work. Maybe they've plugged into our meter, etc. Guys, I can't find anything. We think either your system is faulty or someone's plugging into our water." So using the graph that you saw before, the algo before, our analysts worked out, in actual fact, that the algorithm was conducive with a water softener. And we rung up our manager and we said, "Look, do us a favour, check your water softener." He did, and he actually found that the water softener was faulty. It was just filling up and emptying, filling up and emptying. That was 900 litres of water an hour, and that's a lot of water. If that would have been left, basically it would have cost them 9 grand in water bills, that much. We also found a background leak of about 50 litres, but if that restaurant would have just left those 2 leaks, both of them hidden ones, it would have actually cost them about 11 grand a quarter, and a lot of money. That's basically what we do. It's very important to note that we have flexible action policies. So for example, if you are an oligarch and you've got your beautiful London residence which you only visit in the summer, you can actually have a setting which is home and away. If you push on away, it's not going to learn how you use your water. It's going to understand that there's a lower threshold. Alternatively, there are flexible action policies. So, for example, if you're on a building site and you want to have a policy which turns the water off every evening at 7 o'clock and turns it back on at 6 in the morning, you can institute that policy. It's actually quite interesting, some of the knowledge that people have. We installed for a customer, and they told us that they wanted the water to be turned off at 8 o'clock at night to please institute that policy for them. And we explained to them that could be done, and they told us basically that the cleaners were in from 6 to 8, and that's why they need it. And we actually told them, well, that's quite odd because we can't see any water use beyond 7 o'clock at night, which actually gave them a bit of a shock and meant that they had a good chat with their cleaners. What's very important as well is the customer support level. That's really important. And the reason why that is so important is when we look at a building, you or your facility manager might want different things. So for instance, if you're looking at sustainability, you will only need perhaps 1 unit, which is going to measure the unit, look at your water use, see how you use your water, etc., and just spin out reports from you. However, if, on the other hand, you want to zone the area and have full coverage protection against leak detection, just like a building, you're going to have to zone the area. So for instance, if it's a 52-story building, office block, we suggest protection would be 1 unit on each floor, which would enable, if there was a leak on the 19th floor, that to be shut off automatically and no seepage, no damage, etc., etc. As opposed to 1 unit, which would, if you like, where the inlet would be able to measure water all the time, would notify you of a leak, but wouldn't know where that leak was in the 52 stories that you had. Customer support is very important. That's why we have a monthly charge of about £18 per unit. That means that we're there on hand. There's analysis going on of how you're using your unit, and that also gives you access to the dashboard. It gives you your personal dashboard illustrating your water usage, alerts as relevant by SMS, and of course customer service 24-hour help desk. So that's really us in a nutshell. Very happy to take any questions. Hello?
So we don't have any questions come through on the portal yet. I'll give people a few more seconds just to see if anyone who would like to register anything. Oh, I've got somebody's got a hand up. If you just want to type any questions into the Q&A portal or use the chat function. Just waiting to see if any questions pop through on the portal.
Some questions that we do get are, for example, will it work with your BMS system? Yes, it can. Others are, if you're the alert, who gets alerts? We can position that so a facility manager will get an alert only for one particular facility, whereas an overall manager can get alerts, if you like, for all their facilities. We have overviews, so if you've got 8 sites, you can have access to those 8 sites, whereas if you like, your manager will only have access to 1 site, etc. We're very aware of cyber security, etc., which is actually one of the reasons why we don't use Wi-Fi as well. Those are just some of the questions that do come up for us.
Right, I've got one popped in about pricing. Could you tell us a little bit about how much each unit would be?
Each unit is £1,400 plus VAT. There's also, we always insist on doing a survey, and the reason why that's so important is because every building is different and a number of options can be given. So for example, in the survey, as I said, if sustainability is the main draw, understanding what the customer wants, if sustainability is the main draw, it's going to be a different plan to if you want 100% leak detection for every single area and not to be exposed. And oftentimes there's a hybrid. So we go in, we do a survey. The survey is about £150. And the nice thing, and this is actually, forgive me, I didn't actually tie up with EcoProd. One of the lovely things that we can establish with Flowless is actually the baseline, how you use your water, how much water you use. So for example, we've got a customer, they're going to install the Flowless, and then after that, which will establish the baseline of how much water they use per day, per week, per month. After that, they're going to install the products of EcoProd, which will then enable them to actually be able to exactly monitor their water efficiency. Actually, with EcoProd, we've actually developed, instead of us just going to do a survey now with regard to where we can help, the actual survey that we produce now with EcoProd is actually, if you like, a whole water health check, which is really good, because what we'll actually do is go into your building and we'll say, well, look, you can put a Flowless in the inlet, the ground floor, etc., but not only that, we feel your building can benefit. Your toilets, for example, are still running on Victorian toilets which flush 9 litres as opposed to water efficient. Your urinals need looking at. Your taps are going at 30 litres per minute. They should be that right down. EcoProd can bring them right down to 2 litres per minute. You should look at your taps, you should look at your hot water systems, etc. So we actually now with EcoProd are actually able to do a water health check. The other thing that we can do is we can also do a monthly model, which will actually reduce the upfront cost, say for around about £75 a month, etc. So there's lots of ways we can actually spin it.
Thank you. I've got a couple of more questions about buildings and so on. So what size building would you advise that zoning is required? So if you've got an office block with 7 floors where there's only kitchenettes and toilets to each floor, is that something you would zone, or would it need to be bigger?
No, 1 per each floor would be ideal. But again, you know, we've got a customer who actually only wanted to have 2 areas zoned. And so in other words, they split between, if you like, ground floor to 3rd floor, and that was one, you know, run by 1 Flowless unit, and then they put another which ran 6 to 3. But ideally, we would recommend 1 per floor, because it gives you total control and you're able to see exactly how your water use is per floor and monitor accordingly. Oftentimes it depends on square footage as well, but as I say, that's the rule of thumb.
Okay, another question then on how many outlets you could have on one device, how many sinks, how many toilets, or does that matter?
Not really, no, it doesn't matter. If we were to put, you know, 30, if you've got 30 toilets on the ground floor, you know, we would suggest 1 unit. 1 unit can actually monitor that. We wouldn't be able to tell you exactly which toilet was leaking, but we would be able to tell you there's a toilet leaking on the ground floor.
Okay. So one more. What are the pipe sizes that are available?
Okay, we've got 3/4 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, and we can actually scale up accordingly.
Okay.
What I should say though, actually, is after the 4-inch, we don't have automatic shut-off valve. Okay, so you'll get texts, etc. You'll get the SMSs, you'll get the dashboard information, but you won't get automatic shut-off. So, but it's kind of quite rare, actually, that we've actually had to. Normally what happens is there might be a 4-inch, and then we scale it down eventually, so that automatic shut-off can apply. It's actually rare for a building to have 4-inch all over the building.
Okay, thank you. A question about the data. So you mentioned that the data can be exported. It works with BMS systems. Can it be exported into something else, into somebody else's own analytics system?
Hang on one second. It's got an open API, which basically allows you to do that. You can also run off spreadsheets and reports off the actual dashboard as well, with regard to water use, and put in various dates and flows, whatever you want really, with regard to that. It's actually quite sophisticated.
So David, who asked that question, I think we'll follow up with you separately to work out what the system is that you'd want to get it into, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yep.
Okay, so I think we are getting to almost being out of time here. So I think we should draw to a close, and the people who've asked questions here, I will follow up with you to make sure that what we've been talking about here answers what you were hoping for. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to say thank you very much for your presenting today, and thank you to everybody who attended. You will get a copy of the recording, you will get a copy of the slides, and for those who ask questions, I'll be in touch separately just to make sure and see if you'd like to discuss any of those aspects in some more detail. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.